What's going on YouTube? TopOfTheTech here today. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys and giving you my final predictions of the 2012 MacBook Pro. Now specifically we're looking at the MacBook Pro as opposed to the iMac because I think that there'll be more changes in the MacBook Pro than the iMac in the upcoming WWDC. Now first of all, for some reason there's this speculation that only a 15-inch MacBook Pro will be released at WWDC and probably the 13-inch and 17-inch at a later date. I'm not really sure the reason for that. However, in terms of my predictions going straight into the video, first of all, I think that the new MacBook Pro have a slimmer form factor. Now, right now, we've got quite a good build, but however, it is quite heavy, especially with the MacBook Pro 15-inch, that you may need to carry around for designers and photographers and videographers and editors of that sort. You may need to have slightly slimmer and lighter form factor, which would definitely make a difference, in terms of portability and stuff like that. In terms of the actual design, the visual appeal of the actual MacBook Pro, I don't think that will change, and I really like the glass bezel that is already on the standard models, and obviously then you get the high resolution display, which is an add-on currently, custom builds from Apple. However, bringing me on to my next point, actually, because of the high-res displays that you are able to get and customize from Apple, I think that Apple will actually be releasing Retina displays. So obviously with the new Intel Ivy processor that's come out, it means it has a higher graphics integration and ability to process more graphics. So obviously, the Intel Ivy processors have integrated graphics, but I still think that Apple will integrate another graphics card from Nvidia. So I think that you'll be able to, it will definitely cater for a higher resolution display. Now, one problem that I was actually reading is currently, if you take the 13-inch model of the MacBook Pro, the display costs $69 to actually manufacture and buy from whatever company, either LG or Samsung, which is currently the two main LCD suppliers. But obviously, we did see some rumors of Sharp possibly coming in to supply the new Retina displays, but maybe that's for larger Retina displays in the future, such as iTV, or maybe the upcoming iMacs, hopefully this year. But Apple would actually need, so they've got $69 now for the current LCDs on a 13-inch, but if they were to put a Retina display, that would put the price up to $139. Now, that may not seem a lot in terms of figures, but obviously it may affect Apple's sales. So if Apple decide to increase their prices of the laptops, which I hope they do not, will it really affect the sales? Because obviously now Apple is probably one of the most talked about brands in terms of electronics, and the share prices are rocketing at the moment, and people do say that by the end of this year they may reach 1 trillion net profit, which is a lot. For a company that's really been hitting and developing for probably the past 3-4 years, when it's actually really boosted in sales, as well as word of mouth and that kind of thing. But that's really two of the main things that I want to talk to you guys about. So if we got a Retina display, then what will we have? Well, you see right now I've got the iPad 3 right behind me, and that actually has a 1536 by 2056 resolution, which is really good, and that's about 90. It's got a pixel density of 264 ppi, pixels per inch, which is incredible, and it almost matches HD TVs that we have right now. And I think if you were to blow this up, it would match a 96-inch HD TV, which is really, really big. And to fit that many pixels, in a 9.7-inch screen is incredible. So obviously we will be looking at something thinner, slightly slimmer, with the similar design to the MacBook Pro. As I said, I quite like the glass bezel and aluminum unibody design. In terms of what's actually going to be in the thing, as I said, we're looking for an Intel Ivy processor. I don't think that Apple will fully put SSDs right now. They may put an option, and I did read actually that Samsung SSDs will be the first option when you do ask for a custom build, and they will be going from 128 gigabytes, as they always do, to 512 gigabytes of solid state drive, if you guys are interested to put that in your MacBook Pro as a custom build. What else? Well, as I said, I think they'll still keep to hard disk drives. Maybe they'll, put some more economical hard disks or faster hard disks, so that booting times, loading applications will be faster. In terms of an optical drive, I personally hardly use an optical drive, and if I really do need to use it, I'll use the sharing feature from the iMac remote feature to the MacBook Pro or the MacBook Air if I really need it for that reason. So as I said, probably since I bought the MacBook Pro in December, I've used it probably twice to install it, but that's only really because to make it easier, because I didn't have it as a disk image on file. But otherwise, I probably would have just used a disk image. And so yeah, I think that taking the optical drive won't really make a difference to me, but if you guys have other opinions about that, why don't you leave a comment below and say why possibly that you may want that optical drive to stay in. But if you do want a slimmer form factor on the MacBook Pro, I think that they'll definitely be scrapping the optical drive because that will probably give the biggest space. One of the biggest problems now with a slimmer form factor and then obviously Retina display, Intel IV processor, graphics processor is the battery life. Now battery life right now, since I installed an SSD, I do sometimes get, if I'm just word processing and rather than using the internet, I can get up to 10 hours of battery life if my brightness is quite reasonable and not too bright, and I've got my backlit keyboard switched off. I can get about 10 hours of battery life, which is very impressive and did really make a difference ever since I upgraded from an HDD to an SSD. But I think Apple will be looking to, probably one of the biggest things that they're going to be looking into is the actual battery life of the MacBook Pros, because definitely that's one of the big ups of the MacBook Pros that keeps them favored in the laptop lineup. So I think that the battery has to be maintained to have quite a good battery life. So I think Apple are definitely going to look into having the most economical, cheapest method, yet the most effective battery in the MacBook Pro, as it definitely will make a difference to the way people look at the MacBook Pro, as the way they use it, and obviously, if they have a better battery life, then it will keep the sales of the MacBook Pro quite sustainable and won't decrease at all. So that was Top of the Tech, bringing you really my final predictions on the MacBook Pro. There was a video that I had previously in this year, in January, which did outline some of the predictions for the MacBook Pro, but this is really my final predictions that come before WWDC, which is in about 2 to 3 weeks time, and we're definitely looking forward to that. It's about June the 6th, so if you guys want to write that in your calendar. Obviously there are no tickets to go, they sold out within 2 hours for incredible prices by Apple when the invitations were actually being sold out and sent out. So yeah, that's it from Top of the Tech. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch you later.